Okay, this course involved a number of configurations that we had to do initially with our Freedom K64. We had to make sure that we had the serial driver loaded. We had to make sure that we had DAP-Link, which was the update of the firmware put in. And that took a little bit of time to do and get it right. So what we're going to do is we're going to even demonstrate an MCUXPresso version 11.2.0 and the next one. Now, there's a number of important things you must do to set up MCUXPresso, and the first one is when you start installing it, Windows is going to get in there and say, no, Windows is blocking this. Say allow. Windows is blocking that. No, allow. Windows blocks everything that you need, and it never blocks things that you don't need, like viruses, okay? And virus checkers will say stuff like, there's a problem with this, and you're going to have to say make an exception. So if you've got a virus checker or Windows, those are the two things. Make sure you've downloaded the SDK. Once you've installed MCUXPresso, make sure you've downloaded the SDK for the Freedom K64, because that is not one of the things to do. And before you export programs from Embed, make sure it has the classes library. So let's just switch over here for a second. These two are exactly the same. Okay, so this one and this one, exactly the same, but one has a library that says classes. This is the one you export. You cannot compile this program here on Embed, it won't compile. And this one here, you cannot export to MCUXPresso, because if you do, it's not going to work. So this is the one that's going to be exported to MCUXPresso. You got to remember that, and you got to remember that this is the one that's going to work locally on Embed itself. For anything that you want to export to MCUXPresso, such as this, you would right mouse click and say export program, only for the ones here that have classes. You cannot export this. If you try and export that, it's not going to work because it's the wrong Embed library. Okay, so you have to make sure of that. MCUXPresso. Now this is version 11.2.0, and it works according to what the video showed. Basically, say File, go down here to Import. This is under General Projects from File or Folder. This works the same on both this and the newer one, but it's a little different when you first bring them in. So let's take a look at what this one does. So if we want to do the, and I always put in MCUX or something like this for something that I know I'm going to export, because it's got the classes library. So I'm just going to click here, and it says, okay, it seems to be expanded. Who cares? Incomplete expansion. Who cares? I've done this so many times. Okay, so you're going to see something like this, and you're just going to say finish. Now this is on version 11.2.0, and you're going to get two of these. So never use the second one, always use the first one. And what you're going to do is then go down here to where you go to blinking LEDs, double click, and it's going to take a few seconds on this to actually show up in this screen over here. And when it does, that should be the code that it's bringing in. So again, you have to set it up in MCUXPresso first. Now it's a very simple program. Basically, before you do the blue bug, you have to click inside this little box here so the blue bug shows up. And you can then click on here. Now I've done this so many times that it's going to come up with this launch configuration selection. I just double click, double click. As soon as you hit the blue bug, it's just going to go in. Okay, so I'm just going to go in just to show you what it's going to do. So it should come up here at the bottom. So you're going to get 0 warning, 0 whatever. So this is how it's supposed to work. Now you can set breakpoints. You can just double click here and say set a breakpoint, say on line 8. Double click here and set a breakpoint on this one. So when you hit the run button, it's going to run to the first one, which is going to turn on the red LED. Hit it again, it shuts the red LED off. So if I click here and I go to project and I say properties, what it's going to say is, since you've set up the MCO, if you've done this, it's going to show up with it here. But if you haven't done that, you have to go to MCUXPresso IDE, okay? And then you're going to have to go to select a development board, and the board that you want to select, and you're going to have to sign in again, but you should go to boards, and this is in the video. You're going to go down here to Kinetis. And of all these, it's a Freedom K64. It's only one Freedom K64. Don't do the K66. Somebody did that for something else. But if you go to the Freedom K64, double click, and then you can build this, and all that stuff is covered in the video. You should see under installed SDKs, if you've done this properly, and it shows you in the video how to do this, it should show you here SDK 2.x Freedom K64. I'm just going to double click up in here because that's going to make this go back into the regular framework here. But without this here, it's not going to work. It shows you in the video to drag and drop that in here from where we put it, and then everything is going to work. And before I get rid of stuff, the thing that I should do is hit this red button, because that's going to terminate what's here. Otherwise, it's not going to, clear stuff out very well. So I'm just going to right mouse click and delete. And I'm going to just say, okay, I don't care about deleting it fully or not. And right mouse click, delete again. This is the newer version. And if you say file, I go to import. Make sure you've got your thing set up so it's going to grab this again out of the downloads. Again, projects from folder or archive, that hasn't changed. You say next. You're going to go up here to archive like we did before. And what you're going to do is, let's just double click on this guy here. And who cares what it says? It's going to bring it up. Okay, fine. And it's there. And if we say finish, this time it's a little different. Notice up here, you just get this, but if you open it up, you're going to get this. And again, you're just going to double click on blinking LEDs. What you're going to get is, when you double click on this, you're going to get this, but you don't have two different ones. It's just blinking underscore LED MCUX underneath this. At this point, I have to click in here before you go to the blue bug. Sometimes the blue bug doesn't come up. Now, I've done this a couple times. Now, you won't get this the first time. If you try doing this again, it will come up again twice, and you'll see it coming up again. So this is normal for both of these. And then it's just going to go. And again, it basically works the same way. We can set breakpoints here and here, and we can run it.